Hey everyone, welcome to our VO channel DoopTube. And do you know what time it is? It's time to talk about The Walking Dead Season 9. As you may have heard, The Walking Dead Season 9 premiere has been released on Sunday, Monday or Tuesday, depending in which country you live. Anyway, Season 9 has begun and the first episode was, let's say, divisive. It does give us more hope that the season won't be slowing down with dragging out the plot too long like they did in the last two seasons. But it has also done some things like moving way too fast. I'm okay with moving it fast, but not too fast like it did in the first episode. However, The Walking Dead Season 9 looks to be a season that could revive The Walking Dead. I know that the departure of Andrew Lincoln and Lauren Cohan, who play Rick and Maggie, look like very bad news and may even make The Walking Dead even worse. But given how good they are with handling things in Walking Dead, I have mixed thoughts about the future. I do think they will give Rick and Maggie a satisfying ending they both deserve, which we'll get into later. But I also think that The Walking Dead is coming to that certain time that it's just not that good anymore. Every TV show has that eventually when it goes on for too long. Just look at Desperate Housewives or Homeland or Prison Break. They all went along for so unnecessarily, and The Walking Dead is not really going on for unnecessarily long, considering many comics of The Walking Dead are still written today. So Walking Dead could pretty much go on forever, but with the ratings dropping, viewership going down, and much of the big cast members who are pretty important to the story leaving, it seems like The Walking Dead isn't holding on for that long as the writers want it to be. But we're not here to talk about discussions whether or not The Walking Dead is good now. We're here to talk about what will happen in Season 9 of The Walking Dead. And before I can start, I just want to give away a big spoiler alert. If you're not updated with The Walking Dead show or comics, stop watching right now because I don't want to ruin it for you. Above all here, then let's get started. As you may know, The Walking Dead Season 9 will adapt 3 volumes. A New Beginning, Whispers into Screams, and Life and Death. Now, if you may have known, a lot of these 3 volumes have already been adapted into the first episode of Season 9. And those were events from Whispers into Scream and Life and Death. In both volumes, Gregory died. Now, he did die at 2 volumes, but in both of those volumes, his death was discussed. Anyway, during the season, one thing that's definitely gonna happen is a discussion between Rick and Negan in the prison cell. They're both gonna talk about what has happened over the years and how things are handling. Not sure how that conversation is gonna go or how it will end, but it's bound to be a very interesting scene. Then, after that is done, we're gonna get a whole plot where the Sanctuary has trouble living together with the people of the Hilltop. Some saviors may accept that the war is now over and that Negan is locked up. But there are some saviors, like this one in particular, who don't like the world now. They don't like it to live together with people of the hilltop and the kingdom, and maybe also some of Alexandria. They still hate them, they still want them dead, they still want to be the leaders of them all, but they can't. They have to live with each other, they have to work together. However, eventually that won't work out. The saviors and the people of Hilltop Kingdom, Alexandria, and maybe also Oceanside will have some kind of big discussion. And eventually we're gonna have Maggie and Daryl playing sides that saviors are bad. They're all bad. And Rick and Michonne will say that they can live together in some kind of way. And Carol will just stand kind of between them. She will play both sides. However, this makes clear that Daryl and Rick won't be that good of friends anymore. The bromance will be watched apart, as is clearly seen in this scene that was shown in the trailer. They're going up against each other, and it will be very interesting to see that on screen. And as you already saw in the trailer, you saw definitely some big fights between the saviors and the people of Alexandria, Hilltop, and the Kingdom. You see a lot of those scenes in the trailer, and it's definitely gonna be the big focus of the first half of Season 9. Not sure how it's gonna end, but eventually they will make peace with each other. They will learn to live with each other. And then there is a whole lot of the trailer focused on some kind of camp where all the still alive communities are setting up tents. Now you see these boards, you see Oceanside, Alexandria, and Sanctuary. But you're probably wondering, where are the Hilltop and the Kingdom? Also, where stands UK for, and who is Toledo? Toledo, who is that? And why are they camping? Well, I have two suggestions. They are either camping because the people think it's a way to learn to live together, or it's because they're getting things together to build up a war. Not sure what the reason is yet, but we're getting to that. Anyway, you see definitely that some people are getting along here. You see that Oceanside and Alexandria are getting along. And you see that they're getting along as well with the saviors. You see all people of a single community sitting here at a fire. You see Regina, Laura, Daryl, Carol, Ezekiel, Enid, Tara, Eugene, Deanna. Not sure who this is, but I'm assuming it is Nebula. And then lastly, we have Henry. And as you can see, Ezekiel and Carol are definitely having a romance growing between them. It was already showed in the first episode of Season 9 that they're now a couple. However, Ezekiel and Carol will be the only couple we'll see coming to life in Season 9. The other one will be Nebula and Jerry, and that's a very interesting couple. We're probably very happy for Jerry that he's got a girlfriend now. But eventually, if you know The Walking Dead, then you know that couples aren't gonna live forever. So I think that one of each couple will die in Season 9. And I think that of Carol or Ezekiel will Ezekiel die. And from Jerry and Nebula will probably Nebula die, but they may die both. You never know. But first off, you see that the Saviors, Exandria, Oceanside, Hilltop, and the Kingdom are finally getting along. But that won't last forever, I think. As is clearly seen in this scene. You still see that Daryl and this Savior, I think it's Justin, aren't getting along that well. And I don't know how it's gonna end, but eventually they will learn to live together. And now we're getting into how we're gonna lose both Mackie and Rick. Let's start with Mackie. As is confirmed, Mackie won't die, but she will leave the show in a way that is clear that she won't come back for a while. And how is that way going to be? I think it will go like this. As we know, Mackie has a baby. Her baby is Herschel Ree, named after her father Herschel. And that baby is most likely going with her, since why would she leave her baby? That's just weird. So both Mackie and her baby Herschel will go to some kind of place. And I think it has to do something with the helicopter. Eventually Jadis will come in contact with those helicopter people, and I'm not sure where they're from. I think they are either from the New World Order or that group we met in season 8 with the name Georgie. I'm not sure what her name was, but whatever. I'm not sure who those people in the helicopter are, but I do think that Mackie and her baby will go with them to see their community and stay there for a while. I'm not sure whether or not JS/Ann will go with them, but I am sure the JS/Ann isn't living for a long time. I think that her end will come in season 9. Not sure how it's gonna go down, but JS isn't surviving season 9. Then we get to Rick. How are they gonna handle Rick's departure from the show? Well, I think it's gonna go like this. You already saw Rick bleeding in the season 9 trailer, but you didn't see that it was him, but you definitely saw his boots, so it's probably him. And you see that there's blood coming from his body. His throat is probably cut, not sure by who, but I think that Rick is either killed by the Saviors or the Whispers. But I definitely think that Rick is dying. He won't be going to some other community like Mackie will. I think that if Rick is leaving, he will die. And it will be very faithful to his character. Then, after all that is said and done, Magna's group will be introduced. And Magna's group is a very interesting group of characters. They include Magna, her girlfriend Yumiko, a guy named Kelly, his girlfriend Coney, and some other guy named Luke. And in a TV show, they're very different from the comics. We have Magna, who has a kind of different haircut. We have Yumiko, who is still in a relationship with Magna, but also has a different haircut. Then we have Coney, who has more hair and is deaf, but she's not deaf in the comics. Then we have Kelly, who is apparently a girl and not a boy like she is in the comics, and is also the sister of Cody and not her boyfriend. So that's a very controversial change, but it may work. And lastly, we have Luke, who is a lot more fatter than he is in the comics, and probably also more weak. So those are very controversial changes to great characters. Not sure if people will accept them, not sure if I will accept them, but I think that it will be handled in an okay way. Then, after they are introduced, we're gonna move to the second half of the season. And in that second half, the Whispers will be introduced. Now, who are the Whispers? The Whispers are a group of people who cover their bodies with walker skin to walk among walkers without them being spotted by walkers. And they whisper to each other instead of talking loudly. Now, we already saw them in the Season 9 trailer. You see them walking here, and they're saying, "Where are they?" And they're probably referring to these two people who are hiding from them. But anyway, before we get into their story arc, we're first gonna go to who they include. Whispers include their leader Alpha, who will be played by Sarah Morton, her daughter Lydia, who will be played by Cassidy McKenzie, and her right-hand man Beta, who will be played by Brian Hurst. They may also include Heath, Dwight, and Sherry, because I said in one of my previous videos that they may be members of the Whispers. Anyway, the Whispers will be introduced by these two characters, and they are, I think, Marco, and I'm not sure who this is, but I think it is, and this is Bertie. And they will look for supplies, I guess, and then come around a group of walkers and hide from them by covering themselves with a lot of molder. But among those walkers are the Whispers, and one of them will be taken prisoner by the Whispers, while the other one goes through the communities and warn the people about the Whispers. A group of people will be set out to fight the Whispers. They will also be captured, but someone will escape, and that someone is Jesus. Jesus will take a hostage with him. That hostage is the daughter of the leader Alpha named Lydia. Lydia will be taken prisoner in the hilltop, and she will fall in love with Henry. Henry and Lydia will fall in love. They will have some kind of relationship. Why? Because Henry is now following up the Carl storylines from the comics. And in the comics, Carl still lives today and has a relationship with Lydia, while also having a relationship with Sophia, who is also still alive in the comics, but her character was taken over by Enid. But now that Enid is too old for Henry, someone else will take over the Sophia storylines, and I think that will probably be Rachel. So, between the relationship of Lydia and Henry will Rachel come. And so there will be a love triangle playing between Lydia, Rachel, and Henry. However, eventually, of course, the Whispers will come to the hilltop, and their leader, Alpha, will step forward and make a deal with Jesus. And in that deal, Jesus will hand over Lydia, and then they will leave them alone. However, Henry will go after the Whispers and see their community. And their community may look nice on this picture, but it's actually very violent. People are being raped, including Lydia, and Alpha is just totally okay with it. Then eventually, after Henry is saved from the Whispers community, has Lydia with them, and they're walking back to their communities. They walk among some beheaded heads. In the comics, those beheaded heads included Olivia, Scotty, Dr. Carson, Miss Rose, Luke, Erin, Ken, Amber, Larry, Oscar, Rosita, and Ezekiel. However, in the TV show, some other people will be beheaded, and those include Scott, this unnamed woman who I think is Bertie, Enid. Now, before you go shut off this video, why is Enid on this list? Because her story is pretty much done. She won't be taking over Sophia's storylines anymore. So what does she has left to do? Nothing. So she will die. Next is Tara. I think that she will die instead of Rosita. Why? Well, because Rosita's story isn't over. Tara has to die instead of Rosita. Then one of Negan's wives will die. I think it will either be Tanya or Amber, but most likely Amber. Then we have next Regina. She's definitely gonna get her head chopped off. Then there's Cal. Tammy Rose. Ezekiel. It's gonna be sad for Carol. Nebula. That's gonna be sad for Jerry. Either Beatrice or Katie. Most likely Beatrice. And finally, Luke. Now, as is seen, at least one of each community is going to get killed by Whispers and have their heads being put on a pike. So both the Sanctuary, Oceanside, Hilltop, Kingdom, and Exandria will fight together to fight the Whispers. So the new leader of Exandria will be Michonne. The new leader of the Hilltop will be Jesus. The new leader of the Kingdom will be Carol. And so Exandria, Hilltop, Kingdom, Sanctuary, and Oceanside will fight together to fight the Whispers. And so the season 9 will end with a setup for the Whisper War. And that was my video about how the season 9 plot will go after the season 9 premiere. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.